All right. I think that is this thing on? Is this thing on? Testing the microphone. Good morning. We're right on the dot, 6 o'clock. Give everybody a few moments to pop on. We're resolving a few technical difficulties. Oops. To start our day. Oh, that's why. Just clipping my microphone onto my pants here. So, today we're back. Basic training. I just think of it as basic training, really, because I'm keeping the exercises relatively basic, but also because I want to do some. Sorry, who? Dara. Oh, hi, Dara. Good morning. And Deborah. Good morning. You guys are coming on pretty fast, so I've been hinting for those of you who've done this workout with me up and throughout this whole process at working up towards something, right? Towards a one-arm push-up. Now, you may or may not have that as your own goal.
Jillian's here, Larry's here.
Hi, Jillian. Hey, Larry. And so if you're not interested in actually trying to do this or making that attempt at some point, you don't have to worry about trying to get there. But a lot of the things that we've done, especially last week, doing exercises where we're doing our push-ups, with the weight a little different, asymmetrically, in principle, are ways of progressing up towards something like a one-arm push-up, right? So today I might show you a technique for trying to achieve one. I'll be curious to see how well I can do one right now. It's been a little while. But when you're going through the workout, if we think of it as a progression towards something higher, right, that every time you achieve muscle failure, every time you get better at a particular technique, you are taking a step towards maybe something a little more challenging. And if you've all been doing this with me up to now, I hope that you've seen some growth. Now, and of course, that would mean that you've been doing other exercise, right? I know some of you are. I've been seeing a lot of improvement. Interestingly enough, I think I said this last week, I've been doing a lot more push-ups since this whole thing started, and I'm definitely seeing a change and some growth. So, having said that, we're going to progress a little bit more today. And we're going to circle right back to our first day, the first routine, which was the regular push-ups, Spider-Man push-ups, diamond push-ups, and then the Cobra push-ups. But what we're going to do today is raise the pace a little bit. So we're going to go from doing those slow push-ups to doing a steady set of push-ups for a minute, and we're going to try to reach true muscle failure with each set, okay? And muscle failure literally means your muscles have failed. They stopped being able to do the job that you're trying to ask them to do. And once you've got there, then you're going to progress to some negative push-ups or whatever you got left, or you're just going to flop down on the floor and wait out the timer until we start the next set. That's totally fine. So with that said, we need to warm up pretty thoroughly. Farrah's going to hit my timer here so we can get ourselves started. And just start with some arm swings. So muscle failure, if you have never achieved this wonderful state of being in your exercise, I can tell you from experience and as a coach and a trainer that it is kind of a mental game that you play with yourself, okay? Your body's going to hurt. It's going to feel tired. It's going to feel warmed up. One arm up, one arm down. Worked out. And you are literally not going...
Lynn's here.
Hi, Lynn. You are literally trying to reach a point of the inability to do a move. So let's take the push-up, right? You're going to lower yourself down to the push-up, assumingly with good form, and then go ahead and lift one knee up nice and high. And then you're going to try to lift yourself up, and it won't work. So here's the mental game, right, is actually being able to get yourself to that point. Because I'm going to tell you now, I'm not going to lie to you, it doesn't feel great. And not everybody wants to get their body to that point. But there are a couple things I want to caution you on when you're trying for that, right? Get the knees nice and high. Be diligent with your technique, okay? So I don't want you to be able to do the most push-ups that you can do. We're looking for the most correct push-ups, right? The best form. Go ahead and bring the arms down to your sides. Let's do some jumping jacks. I'm not going to try to talk through jumping jacks. Let's do 20. That's 10. That's 20 for me. All right, now I just want you to do a good leg swing, just lifting one leg up and putting it right back behind you. So I'm just holding my arm up and trying to touch my toe. It's a gentle lift. So we're going to take all the exercises we did in the first round, the first week we did this, and 2 more on this leg. And then I'm just going to switch sides, right? I'm not going for a specific number necessarily, just going for the feeling of warmth. So when we do for example, when we do our first round today, we're doing plain old vanilla push-ups. You're going to try to do as many push-ups as you can do in that minute. And the way you'll do it is give me some swings side to side. You'll start doing the push-ups. You'll set a nice steady pace. You're going for correct form. You can be on your toes or on your knees, or you can start on your toes and then work down to the knees as the muscles fatigue. And you're just going to keep going. When you start to feel your form really deteriorating, that's the point, or your real inability to lift yourself, that's the point when you go back to negative push-ups, and you're lowering yourself down. So in round 1, we're doing regular push-ups. Give me more of a circular knee lift. We're doing regular push-ups, then we're following that with the crisscross or the bicycle abs, right? Elbows to opposite elbow, opposite knees. And then we do those low, slow step backs, right? Little step back lunges. Okay, but again, everything's about picking up the pace a little bit and trying to set a steady pace until you reach a real level of fatigue. We're going for a minute. So when the timer's up, you stop. But if you've reached your limit before the timer stops, I know I just stopped there, keep moving, then you can rest for a moment, catch your breath, or you can go into a negative version. Now, something like the low, slow step back is already pretty negative, like that. Go ahead and do a few of those while we're warming up. Right. So remember, low and slow just means we're trying to stay in that hover position. It'll be a little harder to reach muscle failure with the legs, especially with these body weight exercises. But I'm much more interested today in that push-up, possibly the ab exercises. All right, shake it out a little bit. So we got 40 seconds. So just to review again, regular push-up for 1 minute, followed by a bicycle, and then followed by the low, slow step backs, which I was just demonstrating. We do those each for a minute. And your goal is to achieve failure. So when we do the push-up, you're going to go good technique. You're going to do a steady pace, right? Like you're trying to do as many as you can, maintaining your technique, right? If you feel your body sagging or drooping, the head's hanging, anything like that, that's the point at which you shift to an easier version of the push-up. You put the knees down. All right? And then if you get to the point where you can't do any more push-ups, you start doing negatives. Here we go. Vanilla push-up. So just setting a steady pace. So I'm not doing that slow 5-second push-up we've been doing up to now. Now we're strong now. Now I'm not counting my push-ups. I'm really just going. But if it helps you to count, you can count them. See if you can just keep doing push-ups for a minute without stopping. But you can see, I can definitely feel. Now I'm feeling this, where I've got the fatigue. That's about not quite 30 seconds in, and I'm starting to feel a good burn. Right now, remember, if you've hit that fatigue point, you can get right down to the knees and do the rest from there. And if you've hit the point where you got down here and you're like, and I can't get yourself back up, flop your body up, lower yourself down nice and slow. Okay? Now, it's possible that you won't hit muscle failure in the first minute, right? Over on your back. Crisscross. So now we're setting that, remember, long, long body. We established that in the first day. So we're reaching out. So I was saying, it is possible in that first set that you made it all the way through in the first minute and you didn't hit muscle failure. That's okay. We're doing this over the course of a whole workout, right? So by the end of this thing, you had better be struggling with those push-ups. Now, I want you to be really strict with yourself on your technique. Notice I'm setting a little faster pace here. Nice long body.
rotating nice and far. I've got my fingertips lightly resting on the top and back of my head just so I'm not pulling. So we got 10 seconds here. Then we go to those low, slow step backs. So you're on your feet, stepping back low. So it's just a reverse lunge, and then you stay in the hover, kind of a hover. That sort of half squat position. I never fully extend. Just loading up. You can do hands on hips if you want style points. The hands can be out in front of you for a counterbalance. That's a good position also. Starting to breathe pretty good here. So if you're not hitting muscle failure, now again, I said legs. It's more challenging to hit muscle failure in your legs doing something like this, unless you're setting a really fast pace and you're really pushing yourself into a nice deep squat position as your foundation. So those are things you can do to ramp this up. If you want it easier, you can be up higher. But we're not going for that today. All right, shake it out. So that's round one through. Make sure you got some water. You got just a minute of recovery. Sorry, 45 seconds of recovery. We do it again. So let's see how you do on the second round. And this should get progressively more challenging as we go along, right? The good news about hitting muscle failure with the push-ups is that we've got a couple of exercises in between before you have to start again. So your muscles are getting a built-in rest. But right now, they should be a little less capable than they were when you first started. So let's see what you got. You're going for a minute of steady push-ups. Set your own pace. Remember the regressions here, okay? You're starting hopefully with a full push-up, or you're starting from the knees, and you're doing those until you can't. As soon as you can't, you'll regress to the next easier version. In this case, it will be knees. The next version after that, when you've hit failure, is the negative. Lowering yourself slow, flopping yourself down, getting back up, and then trying to do the negative, right? I'm still working on the regulars here. Vanilla push-up. Remember the arm position. Hands just outside the shoulders, elbows pointed slightly to the back. Now this is important because as you start fatiguing, you'll start doing some strange things to try to get yourself back up. And that usually involves some twisting and bending, right? And you don't want to miss a line in that struggle. That's where, if there's something a little strained, flip it over, crisscross, trying to go right into it. So the crisscross is a place you might hit a failure point by the end of this. Again, I'm not cranking like this. I'm still going a steady, slow, smooth pace because I'm really going for the maximum range of motion I can achieve, okay? So I'm not pulling them up short like this. One reason to pull them up short is if, keep going, folks, if your, full extension of your knee is causing your low back any issues, should be a little better doing an alternating leg exercise. But you can also aim higher, like that, if you need to regress a little bit. So you always have an easier version to revert to. All right, low, slow step back. Steady pace here, stepping back, staying low. So now I can say, thinking back to the very first day we did this workout, that I have definitely, got a rock on my rug. I definitely feel much stronger today than I did on day one when we did this. Definitely feeling results from the exercises. So I hope you're getting similar feelings. That if you remember this workout the first time we did it, we're doing it at a little faster pace. And I can say for me, I feel like I'm withstanding it better, which is telling me that it's time to ramp it up. But the legs, this is burning. All right. 45 seconds of rest. So, second post. Wide arms, Spider-Man push-up. We spread the arms and the legs out, and we do the push-ups with the hands nice and wide. We switch from there to a reverse curl, and then the single leg thrust. We do 5 at a time. The single leg thrust. The single leg thrust, right? Which is lying on your back, holding one leg up, and doing basically a bridge on one leg. Should have called it a hip thrust. All right, are we ready? Spider-Man push-up. Wide arms, wide legs. Just going for it, right? Whew. So I'm just trying to spread myself out. Remember, point your fingers to the outside and bring them a little behind your shoulders. Okay, so, oh boy. It's hard to talk while you're going through this, but only one of us has to do that. Unless you're at home right now swearing at me or something, in which case, I hope you find that motivating. I can tell you when I was in basic training that muttering under my breath at my drill sergeant was part of the workout. So, if you're doing it to me right now, I'll take it as a compliment. It also means you're working hard. Really starting to lose it. All right, reverse curl. So you're on your back, right? Hands under hips. And we're doing a little lift and then coming down slow. Lift, coming down slow. Now, hands under hips is a nice place to support the back. You can do this with your hands back behind your head. A little more challenging. Notice I'm not lowering my legs past 90. So I've got them crossed to the top, slightly bent. I'm really going for that pull right there. Not a big move. If you need the hands under the hips for support, oh, that burns. All right, and you're setting your own pace here. Muscle failure in the abs, again, is difficult to achieve, and it's not necessarily what we're going for here, but we are going for a good, it's hard to talk like this, we're going for a good level of burn. All right, hip thrusters. So one leg on the ground, one knee up, 5 hip thrusts. I'm trying to set a faster pace here, and then you're going to switch legs. Keep that other knee pulled in as tight as you can. And then switch, 5 at a time. I'm digging my heel into the ground. I've got my toes off the ground. I find that really helps me emphasize the hamstring and the glute a little more. There are other versions of this where you can do them on your toes or transitioning from your toes to your heel and all kinds of interesting things. We're keeping it basics today, right? Basic training. We're not going for the complicated versions. We're trying to take the simple ones and make them harder. Although, when we get to the end and we're doing cobra push-ups, you're not thinking of those as so simple, right? Okay, a little recovery, 45 seconds. This is where I grab a little water. I have to say, I feel pretty good. Are you feeling good? That's a relative term, right, in exercise. How are you holding out on the workout? We're pushing up the pace a little bit. How much better are you getting at it? Are you keeping it challenging, right? Keep the work difficult. Trying to hit muscle failure. If you're not approaching it yet, you can go a little faster in your push-ups. I know I'm getting there by the end of this. The chest muscles feel very wobbly right now. So I've got my feet nice and far apart, hands out nice and far. I have to keep pausing to coach. This is one of the ways trainers cheat. We stop in the middle of our workout and we start encouraging you. Come on, let's go. Yeah, don't be fooled. We're just cheating on a rest. Well, that's not entirely true because it is my job to coach you along and encourage you. As much as I really enjoy doing this, today's not about me. It's about you. So, what are you doing? Come on. Keep it going. Push yourself through. Remember, if you're hitting failure, regress to an easier push-up and then finish out with the easier version. All right? If you've maxed out with those, it's negatives. Slow on the way down and then back up. All right, reverse curl. Flip it over. Whew. I like this pace. So I've got my hands next to my hips this time instead of under. This allows me to use my hands to press into the floor a little bit. You might notice that activates your triceps pretty well. And again, you can go here. Hands can be behind the head. I'm not moving the legs away from my body. Yes, that would be challenging, but I'm really after this reverse curl right there. Just that lift. I'm trying to peel the hips up. So find the hand position that's easier for you. Now, a regression for this would be to bend your knees more, right? Have the knees bent and do the curl, right? Just this little bit of pull. And that's still pretty excruciating if you're really focusing deeply into your abdominals and pulling with the abs, okay? Go into hip thrusters. Just going right to them. 5 on one leg. And then switch. Now, if you want to, sometimes with exercises like this, you want to find out if you're using the right muscles. You know, take a finger or a grip your glute and feel it. Feel that muscle tightening up. You might not have to do that if you can feel it working. You feel the burn settling in. There are other versions of this, you know, if you take some weights and hold them on your pelvis. Again, but we're keeping it basic. Trying to use what equipment we have right now. I know for me, I got some arms and legs. That's the 10-second mark. Ooh. The hips feeling good. All right, 45 seconds of rest. We move on to post 3, diamond push-ups, okay? So if you haven't reached muscle failure in those first 2 sets, here's where it's going to start, right? Remember, if you can achieve it, here's the diamond hand position. I'm going to give you it up close. So when I bend my arms, I lower my chest to my hands. Notice the elbows are down here, not up here. Okay, if you start feeling that happen, you need to regress to an easier version. Knees down, okay? So that's the position right there, chest. Not face in your hands, okay? Chest to your hands. Then we go to the alternate extension. That's a quad exercise right here. All right, diamond push-ups. Feet wide on these. Steady pace. Remember, if you can't do the diamonds from the toes, you regress to the knees. If you're not doing them from the knees, then you're doing negatives, right? You're just doing this. And the negatives can be from the toes or from the knees, all relative to your level, okay? It doesn't matter, right? Nobody's there watching you anyway, so you do the version that makes sense for you. Oh, boy. Whew. You might be doing these slower. I have a funny story about these push-ups. When I came home from basic training, I was 18 years old. I was in great shape. And I came home December 10th, 1989. And it just so happened that that day, right, so alternating extension. So you're down on all fours, extend one arm and one leg, and then pull your knee and elbow together. I'll finish my story later. 2, 3. And then alternate. Okay, now, we can just pick up the pace here, but I want full extension and like a full crunch here. So each end of that move has got to be a full range of motion. 3 at a time. So I came home to a Christmas party that my whole family was having. Aunts, uncles, one of my uncle's house. Somebody came and picked me up at the airport. So I had this really great homecoming. It was really pretty cool. But at one point, I was standing around in the kitchen with all of my aunts. I have a lot of aunts. Switch sides. And they were quizzing me on all the exercise. They asked me to show them all the push-ups I'd done. All right, so now we're going to low horse jack. So I forgot to tell you about this one, right? Horse stance, and then you're bringing them in, staying low, and then going back out. That's it. My story might have to wait until the break. Now your pace is your own here, but you're trying to stay in that low crouch and open up and then jump in and stay low. That's the goal. Everything stays low. These are brutal. Notice I'm not racing through these, right? I'm not doing this. I'm trying to sink, do a little bit of a squat with each one. You might be able to go a little faster. I'm still taking this hip for a test drive. These kind of jumping exercises are a progression for me. So I'm trying to keep them low impact. Oh, the burn. That's it. Oh, okay, get some water, 45 seconds. So there I am standing in the kitchen, surrounded by my aunts. Now I'm an 18-year-old kid. My aunts are all women in their late 20s, early 30s. There's about 5 of them. And so we started doing push-ups. And I said, oh, and then there's this really tough one called the diamonds. One of my aunts says, diamonds, what are those for? And I said, well, they build up the inner part of your chest muscle. It builds cleavage. She immediately dropped down on the floor and started doing diamonds. Well, I'm getting down. That was embarrassing as an 18-year-old kid. All right, here we are, diamond push-ups. But it was fun. And have all your aunts and uncles on the floor doing push-ups at Christmas time. Yep. So the fatigue is really setting in here. Notice the pace is slowing down. This is a more difficult push-up anyway. But after all the work I've done in those first 2 sets, the body is slowing down. Ooh. Notice a little growling, a little gritting of the teeth. That's okay. Let it out, right? There's nobody watching. Whew. Unless there's somebody else in your house just sitting on a couch, staring at you and not doing the work with you, you know? Is there anybody in your house like that, just sitting on a couch watching you? I've got somebody like that right now. Alternating extension, crunch. Farrah's just sitting on the couch over there. And you know what's worse? She's just sitting on the couch concocting some nasty little ending for our workout. Yeah, I see her smiling at me. I might pay a price for that comment. That's okay. I've got all of you coming along with me, right? Who wants to pay the price with me? Just finding ways to elevate the workout, right? A little smart alecky. Reach, folks, reach big. Oh, I'm supposed to be doing 3 of these at a time. Low, slow jacks, or low horse jack. Horse, jump it in, stay low. The hands are where it's comfortable. I like to put mine out as a counterbalance, but they could be on your hips. They could be doing some kind of move with you if you want them to. And again, notice my pace is pretty slow. That's deliberate on my part. You are free, though, to pick it up, right? Like I said, for me, the new hip is really great, right? It's phenomenal, actually. But when it comes to progressing up to more impact, more challenge, I'm being very conservative. I want this thing to last at least most of the rest of my life. So, That initial recovery is important. Okay. All right. That was 2 times through. Last post. Cobra push-ups. Remember those? I know you like them. Those are hard. A lot of shoulders as well as the rest. And maybe at the end, I'll give you the bonus of showing you before Farah kills us with whatever she's got in mind. I'll do a little 1 push-up demonstration and talk about a technique. All right, anyway, so it's Cobra push-ups followed by plank jacks, followed by multi-directional lunges. That means we're doing our lunge to the side, to the crisscross, to the front, to the back. All right, here we go. Cobra push-ups. You know them. Starting in the pike position, like down dog, and then head to the floor. Scrape your chest along the floor, come up, and then you bring yourself back down. Push yourself right along the floor, and then up you go. I'm going to have to move my microphone a little bit for this one. Hopefully you can still hear me. All right, but you just go for as many of these as you can. Now, this is a little more challenging to regress, but it can be done on the knees, okay? So I sit back, chest down from the knees, hover along the ground, up to here. See how I've got my feet bent behind me? Or they can just rest, and then I'll bring my body flat, push back, hips push back, and the whole thing can happen on the knees, all right? So that regression is available to you if you need it. And don't get caught up in the term regression. It's not a moral judgment, which is another one of those psychological things that happens with clients in failure. Okay. Oh yeah, plank jacks in the hover. So hover position. I'm just jacking out, right? Just keep going. We're not doing any transitions here. But it's funny, over the years, sometimes I find people get caught up in that language. We say muscle failure. Someone in favor say, but I don't like failure. Muscle exhaustion, is that better? If you need a break, you take a break. If it's a little tough on the forearms, you can come up onto the hands. Whew. So you can do this up here. Whew. After all these push-ups, holding yourself up on the hands is tough. All right, multi-directional lunges starting to the front. So on one leg, you lunge to the front. Then you're going to lunge, same leg to the back. Then the same leg out to the side. And then the same leg crosses to the back in a curtsy. Then feet together, then we switch and repeat. So the opposite leg goes 1 to the front, 1 to the back, 1 to the side, and then 1 across the back for a curtsy. And then switch. I'm going to angle a little bit here from the side. So front, back, side. That's how I straighten out. And then cross to the back. Center, switch. Front. Your pace may be faster than mine. That's fine. I'm always a little slower on the leg exercises right now. Front, back. Side. Curtsy. And recover. The sweat's coming down. So I don't want to tread on planks with Pete time, but before we do our vicious, nasty Farah bonus, I know. I'm going to spend a minute on that 1-arm push-up. Now, you're all tired, right? Don't expect to be able to pull off a 1-arm push-up, although you might be able to, because you're thoroughly warm. Hopefully that push-up technique is pretty well grooved into your arms and your shoulders. So you might be able to pull it off. At the very least, you could pull off a negative 1-arm push-up. Just a bonus. Here we go. Cobras. Uh-oh. Keep going. Lost my mic. All right. And here's where, if you're really fatiguing, this is the mental game right here. What are you telling yourself as you're doing this? Right? Who are you now? Are you whining? No. I know you folks. No. Are you gritting your teeth a little bit and getting determined? If this were my karate class and you were all 5-year-old kids, I'd say, put on your tiger face. And then we'd all growl. Ah. And even though it sounds like fun to do with children, the attitude is still applicable for us as adults, right? Get fierce, get determined, find that inside yourself, and then you push through. So where's that determined, fiery, fierce version of yourself? Hover jacks on the hands or on the elbows, and you can transition. So maybe you do 10 on your hands. I'm just throwing it out there. And then maybe 10 on the elbows. Where's your tiger? Is the tiger the right animal for you? Maybe it's something else, but whatever it is, channel it. Find it, right? When you're in this struggle, what do you pull out to keep you going for just that little bit more? Maybe you got to look to somebody else, right? Maybe you're dogging it and you're struggling and you're looking around and you see somebody else over there and you go, whoa, yeah, I can do what they're doing. I'm not going to stop. Ugh. But reach for that, whatever it is in you. Lunges. Front first. Front. Back. Lateral. Curtsy. And then repeat. I'm going to angle to the side a little bit just so I don't kick my posters behind me. Right, that lateral lunge, straightening out the other leg that you're stepping from. And then switching sides. I don't know about you, but the sweat is pouring. How you doing, Larry? Don't answer that now. Wait till after. Because if you type a comment now, I'll know that means you stopped. How we doing, folks? Are you hanging? Are you gritting your teeth a little bit? It's okay. That's what hard work should do to you. Find the tiger. This is it. All right. You get a little bit of recovery here. So, I told you I was going to demonstrate 1-arm push-ups. So take a moment. Anybody who wants to try this out, you're welcome to join in. My advice to you right now is when you try this, try it on your stronger side first. And then once you feel like you can do the technique, you can try it on the other side. Now, 1-arm push-up. Keep moving around. Don't stand still. A lot of work on one side of your body, asymmetrical. Everything is going to be twisted and bending, so it requires a really incredible level of full body coordination and strength. But working towards it is a way to help establish it. So, regressions. You can do this from your knees, okay? Just like anything else we've done. In fact, I'll demonstrate on the knees first, and then I'll try the full-blown push-up. Okay, so from the knees, I'm going to get down into a push-up position, okay? I'll spread my knees wide, just like if I do this on one hand, I'm going to have my feet wide. So I got a nice wide base. I'm going to take the hand, so I'm going to do this push-up on my right hand. I'm going to reach back and grab a good old handful of my butt or my thigh and kind of tighten up that side of my body. Now I'm going to turn a little more to the front so you can see this. When I lower down for the push-up, I'm not actually going to go straight down. What I'm going to do is turn my head away from my hand and lower myself down like that. Now, depending on the surface you're on, you might want to put something soft under your knees if you're doing this on your knees, right? A pillow or something, because you're going to put a lot of pressure on your knee, especially the outside knee joint, right? Because this push-up is going to work from this hand to this base point over here. So if it's your knee or your foot, that's really where a lot of the work is, all right? So when I do the push-up, I'm actually going to kind of twist my body away from my hand like this, bringing that chest to the ground, and then I'm going to push up and extend. All right, so I'll turn forward a little more so you can see it. I'm going to do it up on my hands. See how far apart my feet are, grabbing my thigh tight, and then I'm going to lower down, see how my head goes to the side, and then I'm going to push up. Whew, like that. So you see how I kind of bent my body sideways to push up. That's to help keep my shoulder and elbow in line. So when I go down, right, from the upper bodies, this is the alignment of my arm. It's not something like this. I want to avoid that, okay? You want to see it again? Did you do it? Right? So up on the toes and grab my thigh. My head goes away from my hand. A lot of weight on this opposite foot. Nice wide base. Oh boy. And then, of course, you've got another side to try. Now, could be done for the knees. Could be done as a negative. As a matter of fact, if you can't do one like that, work it negative. All right. Here we go for the Farrah special.
10 burpees.
With 2 push-ups?
Yeah, 2 push-ups.
Farrah just said she wants us to do 10 burpees, which isn't so bad, right? But a 2 push-up burpee. I'm looking at her right now, and I'm sure she's got to be more push-ups. Okay, so just to demonstrate, a 2 push-up burpee would be, right, starting from a standing position, right, getting down on the floor, doing 2 push-ups before jumping up and jumping up. But just 10 of those, okay? All right, folks, this is the grand finale. Are you ready? Whatever you got left in the tank, I want you to spend it right now. Whew. I'm going to go when I say go. You're not in charge of me. You're not the boss of me, Farrah. Actually, she kind of is. All right, here we go. Are you ready? Set. Go. Oh, 2 push-ups. Jump in. That's 1. That's 2. Remember, you can regress. Put the knees on the ground if you need to when you're doing those push-ups. If you need to regress to stepping in on the way up from the burpee, step, right? And then stepping back, that's okay too. I think I'm on 5. 6. These push-ups are hard. 7. I'm slowing down. 8. Come on, tigers. 9. 10. Okay, listen up. I know Planks with Pete is coming up next in just about 2 or 3 minutes. So, do not stand around waiting those 3 minutes. Keep your body moving while you switch. All right? Do some stretches. You can hear me. I'm breathing hard. That was tough. Great job, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful Memorial Day. We're looking forward to seeing you all in person again soon. For now, I'll see you on the web with Pete. Woo-hoo. And have a great day. Thanks for coming.